underneath. the
Oh,
netting.
oh, that's good. I gave up on that a long time ago. So you appreciate them now when you see the price.
I will.
Oh, well. But other than that, no, I haven't been out birding a lot. So I'm getting
Hi, everyone.
lazy.
Hi,
Hi, Laura.
Sorry, I'm running a little late. I realized.
No problem.
Kind of lost track of the time.
You're not supposed to do that. I'll mute myself.
Well, it's 7 o'clock already. Should we just get started?
Keep going, yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome, everyone. It's good to see everyone. And I hope that you've been enjoying your spring. It's been an incredible spring of birding. I'm sure that people have gotten out a lot. And hopefully we have more people that have signed up. So hopefully they will join us as we go along. So, and our last location for May, if you weren't at the May Zoom, was it was the West Meadows at Arcadia Wildlife Sanctuary. And so we talked about the different places to stop and look for birds there. And the 5 target birds were, wait, let me see, I have my list because I forget: common yellowthroat, yellow warbler, yellow-rumped warbler, chestnut-sided warbler, and Savannah sparrow. So I don't know if anyone had any luck. Did anyone want to share if anyone went, first of all, to the West Meadows, and if anyone saw the target birds?
Well, I guess we'll report. We went out there on May. Or can anybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went out there on May 30th, around 11 o'clock. We saw the yellow warbler. We heard the common yellowthroat and the chestnut-sided. But we did get 22 other species there.
What part of the West Meadows? Where did you go?
We did the line of trees, I forget what you call it.
Oh, yeah, near where the eagle's nest is.
The trolley line or
Trolley
something.
line.
Oh, yeah, the trolley line. Yeah, that's great.
And then we went around the edge of the field along the woods.
Mm-hmm.
We could hear yellow warbler almost everywhere we went.
Yeah, they're
really
pretty common all through there. And that whole hedge, that whole row of trees, and that along the trolley line too, those shrubs, really great place to go
Yeah.
birding.
It was very active.
Yeah, we saw.
And
a
was the
brown
grass really
thrasher.
high though, when you were walking there?
Excuse me?
Was the grass really high?
No, we were kind of on the road. the dirt
Okay,
road.
all right, yeah. I was just wondering if it had gotten overgrown. Sometimes it gets overgrown, so,
No, it wasn't bad at all.
right.
But a brown thrasher landed in the road, so we got real good looks at that.
Oh, that's
That
nice.
was so fun, yeah.
I just
Yeah.
thought I'd also mention that, I don't know if you've heard that they saw a loggerhead shrike in Fitchburg today.
Oh,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
didn't have my binoculars, so it just looked like a little spot to me, but
wow, that's exciting. And it was a loggerhead. That's interesting that it wasn't a northern shrike.
northern.
no, they said it, that there were definitely people there with scopes, and they said it
Yeah, right. That's really amazing. Huh.
at the airport, Pittsburgh
Mhm.
Airport. That's it.
Great. Anyone else have a chance to get out there?
Oh, good. So I did a walk with you, Laura, at Arcadia. And so after that walk, I just walked to that line of trees that we talked about, and looked around the bridge and down the line of trees. And I also saw the yellow throat, the yellow warbler, and the yellow rumped. And I saw a bunch of bobolinks and a Cooper's hawk.
Nice.
But I think I didn't see this is like May 11th I wrote down. So I didn't see or hear the Savannah sparrow, but it was still had a good walk.
Yeah, it's kind of an amazing spot. If it's not too hot to get out there, but you said you were there early May, is that right?
Yeah, yep, like the second week,
Oh, yeah, okay, so when our walks were going on at Arcadia, yeah,
right.
yeah. And our other Lisa, did you want to?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I didn't make it over to the West Meadows until the end of May. I went a whole bunch of other places earlier in May where I saw all of these birds, except for the Savannah sparrow. I'm still waiting to even hear one. But at Arcadia on that morning I did see a common yellowthroat, which was very conveniently sitting on a wire for me and singing. So that made it easy. And I saw a yellow warbler also in that hedgerow. And very excited to see bobolinks, because that's kind of my spark bird.
Oh, great. Oh, neat.
Yeah, so I'm always excited to see those for the first time. And that was, like I said, the end of May. And I guess people had already been seeing them, but that was my first sighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love their song.
Yeah.
Right, I know. And I remember the first time hearing that, like I was walking my dog and I'm like, what is that song? And to that kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
And then to learn about bobolinks, it was really kind of exciting.
Yeah. Well, this is going to sound really corny, but the first time I sort of became aware of bobolinks, I was living in Iowa, where there's lots of habitat for them. And well, okay, this is the corny part. So the University of Iowa, where I worked, their colors are black and gold.
Oh, cool. Uh-huh.
And so I kind of associated with that. Yeah, they're just so striking and beautiful. Can't get over them.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah, we definitely, and we manage for those birds out in that area in the West Meadows. It's really one of our focuses, is the bobolinks, and we hope to get meadowlarks. We hear them every spring, but I don't know if they actually nest out there, but the bobolinks definitely do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we mow later, and all that. Right.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Cool. Sue, did you get out there to the West Meadows? Yeah. We can't hear you. You're muted.
So you have to unmute. We can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, now I am.
Oh, there you
No, I
are.
haven't been doing too much birding lately.
Oh, you haven't. Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering if you had a chance to maybe drive through or something. And Michelle, you're one of our newer members. So I don't know if you've been out to our West Meadows yet. Probably not.
Well, yesterday I drove past it.
Oh, good.
But I didn't know, what I
Yeah.
didn't know. So
Right. But at least you know where it is now. So if you're ever back in
I
the
think
eastern
so.
part of the western part of the state, it's a good spot to look for bobolinks and
Yeah.
all sorts of warblers in May and things. So yeah.
It's kind of near where the there were wires like above,
Mhm.
like I don't know what kind of wires they are, but yeah. Okay. Because as I was driving and I thought, I wonder if that was the place. And then I kept going.
Kind of all through, like, yeah, if you drive, you went over the bridge, it sounds like the single lane bridge. Yeah, and if you keep going straight, it's all those meadows there.
Mhm.
It turns into a dirt road eventually. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So it's a large area. So what about you, Lesley?
I did go. I managed to sprain my ankle at the beginning of May. So I was sort of hobbling around in crutches, but I got to drive out to I just drove to the trolley line, and I didn't really walk around that much, but I could sort of hobble down the trolley line. But I had lots of common yellow throats, yellow warblers, yellow rumped, no savannas. And the fields as I was walking the fields on the right, if I'm going towards Ned's ditch were really high, and there were a lot of sparrows, but they would just drop down, and I didn't, I thought, oh, does that say, I'm not really good at the Savannah song. I always confuse it with the song sparrow, so I wasn't really, so I didn't get the Savannah, and I didn't hear a chestnut-sided, but I did see 2 brown thrashers.
Oh,
and
nice.
Scarlet tanager, so that was sort of fun.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And I wonder if the thrashers are nesting near there, because I've seen, you think so? Because I've
I
seen
do.
them multiple times in that very area, right around the trolley line.
Yeah, so I went, I'm trying to think when it was, maybe the first week in May. And I went the first, if you're going north towards Northampton, so up and over the bridge, and then take the first left. I think that's Pinchley Meadow Road. I always forget the names of the roads out there, to the trolley line.
Mhm.
And that intersection with the trolley line, that's where I saw 4 brown thrashers.
Whoa.
And so on that, and then throughout the month, I kept seeing 4 of them there. So I think they were nesting somewhere around there, right at that intersection,
Cool.
which is cool. And then they'll nest right on the ground too.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've seen
Yeah,
nests
so
on the
so
shed.
somewhere around there. And then what I did, I walked to the left along the trolley line. It gets a little overgrown, but I did walk that way, and that's where I had a lot of common yellow throats and a lot of yellow warblers. And then in going in the opposite direction towards like where the eagle's nest is, I walked along the trolley line and I got the chestnut side, I heard it. Yellow-rumped warbler, I'm trying to think where I saw it. I guess I saw it actually near the bridge. So I didn't see a lot of those in May. It's kind of funny. It was
I only saw one.
it was an odd month for warblers, I feel like. I feel like it was, it was a few here and there the whole month.
Yeah, like there were 2 bay-breasted in the whole county or something. It was just.
Why do you think so?
I don't
Your
know.
theory.
So that whole week, that we had the walks at Arcadia in the morning, Monday through Friday, it was like pulling teeth to find warblers. Although, we, like when I would put the list together, it was often 50 species that I had put, heard or seen on the trips. So we were seeing a lot of different species, but just not a lot of warblers. And I don't know, I've heard different things like that. They're north wind. There's a strong north winds at the beginning of May, the first 2 weeks of May, and that stalled them, or that they would come a few at a time instead of a large bunch. I don't know. I don't really know.
So does that
And I
mean
feel
more
like-
will be, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, the Monday, I'm trying to think of the date, what it was. It was about the 18th of May, I want to say. It was a Monday. That was an incredible warbler day. It was like one day we had in May where there was actual fallouts of warblers. I was not at Arcadia though that day. I was at Fitzgerald Lake. I'm not Fitzgerald Lake. I think I was at Fort River. So, and then the rest of that week, it was kind of like pulling teeth again to find warblers, but the other birds were all around.
Yeah.
I don't know what the eastern part of the state was like. Do you know, Michelle? How was warbler watching? Do you have any idea?
I thought it was pretty good. There were days that people said it was a fallout kind of thing, and I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at the eBird reports from out there, because sometimes the warblers will just stick to the coast more, or they'll go west. Who knows?
So is May the month where in the western part you have a lot of warblers? Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Same as
pretty much first 2 weeks in May are really usually good.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, here I think it's supposed to be like the whole month.
yeah, it could be the whole month here too.
Yeah.
But what happens, of course, towards end of May is that the leaves are more out, and so it's hard to see the warblers. It's more hearing them and identifying them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which can be frustrating.
Mhm.
So, but it was interesting about the Savannah sparrows, because none of us saw Savannah sparrows. So I'm wondering, and I don't know this, if it's just a bad month to see them, but they nest around here. You would think that one of us would have heard one at least.
Hmm.
Yeah, I found that really curious. And I haven't seen a savanna, I don't think, all spring or heard one. So maybe it's just not a year for them. I have no
Yeah,
idea. I have no idea.
I think we might have seen a couple in the East Meadows.
Oh, interesting.
Every now and then we see them out there, not that often. I have seen one this spring, but I can't remember where, but it wasn't at the West Meadows, and
Yeah, and often people have them at Fort River on Moody Bridge
yeah,
Road.
sure, yeah,
And I've been there several times and I didn't have any. So it's kind of curious.
yeah.
Right. So. Any other thoughts about the West Meadows? Great. All right. Should we go to our next location? Are we ready for that, Lesley?
Yep.
Okay. Let me share my screen. All right. See if I can find where I'm looking for.
Oh, that's a beautiful photo.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love
that's of Fort River, actually. There we go. Okay.
dog.
Slideshow. All right. And I'm going to minimize. There we go. Can everyone see the photo? Okay. Okay, great. So as I always try and do, I try to take a photo of our last month's do-it-yourself. So this is the beginning of May. You can see how short the grass is in the West Meadows. And I just love when you get out far enough and get that wonderful view of the Mount Tom Range. And so just to orient, if you wonder where this is, right here, this red building, that's the water ski club. And so that way down there, that straight line, that would be Old Springfield Road. And over here on the right would be the single lane bridge. And then further to the right would be like the main parking lot and visitor center for Arcadia. And then along this ridge with all the trees, that's where the Eagle's Nest is. And that's also a lovely spot to go birding. But I just like the bright greens in the early springtime. It's lovely. So let's see, there we go. All right, so just to let you all know, our do-it-yourself for this, it's not really a month, it's for summer. So we have to keep that in mind. It's for summer. We're not going to meet again until September. So we were giving you 3 months to find these 5 birds. All right, Lesley, take it away.
Here we go. So the East Meadows is actually a pretty big area. It's right near the Northampton airport, and you can get access to it in a couple of different ways. One thing I want to point out before I forget is that you're driving on farm roads, and they're all going to be dirt roads. So if it's just been raining and you have a car with a low suspension, you might want to reconsider birding there that day, because I've gotten stuck there in my Honda Accord and had to get pulled out. So just thought I'd let you know. The one way to get in, here's Bridge Street. If you're coming from Amherst, you're coming over the bridge here. And you take a left on Old Ferry Road. Now here's the fairgrounds right here. And where the cursor is, yep, that's the fairgrounds. And then you'll go underneath 91 and you'll stay on Old Ferry Road. So the airport will be on your left, and you'll start to see fields on your right. And actually on those fences and in those fields are where you can sometimes see a lot of sparrows, including the Savannah sparrow, although that's not one of our birds this month. And so all of these yellow lines are the different roads that you can take through the East Meadows. So Laura, go to the end of back to the airport, and you see where it kind of, yes, so going the other way, down there, so that there'll be some houses along there. You can go down that road, and it'll take you to the left, and then you can go back up towards the river, and then take a right there on I don't know the name, Webb Hollow Road or something, and then take that back left along. So at that point, you are at the bottom of the runway, and so this road that goes closest to the river up, what does it say? Bluebird
Riverbank Road, I think.
Bank Road will take you, so the runway will be on your left, but there will be cornfields on your right. And there are trees right along the river there that you can sometimes see raptors and eagles in there. And then coming back down, going south now, yes. So down here, this is Woods Hollow Road, Webb's Hollow Road. On all this whole area now is all farm fields. And in some areas it's planted, in some areas it's just mowed down. And the birds that we're talking about can be seen in those areas, and some you'll especially find after a rain, when a little pond is created in those fields. So, and sometimes those ponds stay for several days. So those are the areas to look. You can continue these you could see these sort of white roads in the map here. All of these are farm roads you can drive along. The other point I want to make is that these are private farms. These are working farmlands. So you'll want to park along the side of the road. There are places you can see where you can pull over if you want to walk, but do be mindful of walking through the fields, because that's, you'll need to walk on the edges of the road. Every now and then a farmer will show up and say, you want to walk through my fields? Great. But you really do need to ask them, depending on what's going on in the field.
And Lesley, I had the thought too, there's not really a view of the river, if I remember correctly, right? It's mostly, there's a tree line. Is that correct?
Right. Yes, exactly. So you can sort of see between the trees to the river on that, but.
Right. But it's not really a big overlook of the river at all.
No, not
It's
at all.
mostly focusing within the mud puddles of the farm fields.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want me to move ahead to the next map?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks. So this is just sort of south of what we just saw. And again, more fields, more roads through the fields. The other way to get into this area is down here on Hockenham Road. So that's right there is Pleasant Street, Route 5, and you can take depending on which direction you're coming from, take Hockenham Road, and that will take you also under 91 and into the fields, into the East Meadows. It's a really, actually, I think it's a really beautiful area. I love going early in the morning when there's fog from the river, and it's just, and then as you're looking towards Shepherd Island, you'll see the Mount Holyoke Range, so it's all beautiful over there to look at too. And again, these are just roads to drive along, pull over, take a look, see what you see, and to keep an eye out for puddles and ponds. There are a couple of ponds that seem to have established themselves. At least there's one along this lowest road here that goes almost parallel to the bottom of the map. It's to say Nook Road.
Nook Road.
Yeah, I think there's one on Nook Road just west of Valleyfield Road. That's where I've seen, other side. So no other, even further down towards the bottom of the map in there. Yes, I think that's right. There's a long skinny puddle that seems to have formed there with grasses along the sides. And we've seen yellow legs there and other kinds of, and sandpipers. So that's one place to look out for, even though it's not on the map. It's just something that sort of established itself. So.
And I should say, like, when I go to the East Meadows, I usually stay close to my car. I'm not sure I would want to go out by myself walking really for a couple miles away from the vehicle.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say, you can get out of your car and that's fine. Use scopes or binoculars or whatever. But I would, just keep in mind safety. I do think it's a spot to, if you are by yourself, to just make sure to be near your vehicle.
Yeah.
And what kind of safety are you talking about?
I have seen some strange men that have given me not good feelings. Nothing has ever happened, but I do think it's good to be aware that it is an area that can be very isolated, and walking by yourself without a lot of other people around is something just to maybe is not such a smart idea. What do you think, Lesley?
Well, Yeah, I mean, I would say, always to be aware of that. One
Mhm.
nice thing about the summer is that people go out there walking and they walk their dogs a lot. So
Yeah.
often there are people around. Of course, the dogs are a little bit of a downside because they flush the birds, but so, and you'll see as you drive, you'll see other people coming and
Mhm.
so, you just keep an eye out for all of that. People do like to party down by the river.
Mm.
And these are the written directions. So if anybody needs to take a picture of these, if this makes it easier than my long explanation and the map, this might be the time to do it. So you can.
And then if anyone, if you see all of us on the side, you can put your cursor over one of our faces and then you'll see options on the top of this black bar above a person's face. And you can click on the one furthest to the left and it will make all the faces go away. So then you can see all the directions.
Oh, good.
So if anyone needs to do that.
So it sounds like you're not going to send out the map by email or anything. So I should have
Good.
taken a picture of.
We could.
Yeah, we could. We just have never done that,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
great. Great idea.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know why we hadn't thought about doing that. We just haven't.
Definitely easy
Well,
enough to do.
well, you all probably know the area, but yeah.
Honestly, I don't know it very well.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to exploring it this summer a little bit more, but that's a great idea. We can easily do that.
Yep.
And we can send these directions out too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we might be ready for the birds.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just get my cursor in the right place. There we go.
So this first one is the Sora. And it is a rail. It's about 8.5 inches. Other rails tend to be a little bit bigger. So it's a smallish one. And when you see it sort of walking along, if you see it, they're really hard to see, but it sort of looks like it's about the shape of a football. It's kind of a little round football shaped bird. It looks a little bit like a quail. And you can see some of the distinctive coloring, the yellow bill, the black face and the black along the throat and the front of the breast, that thin line, and then the gray sort of behind the eye and alongside the neck. Those are very distinctive. And then that beautiful black, white and rich brown pattern on the back. It has yellow legs. And oh, there we go. It was a little hard to see under the water, but it does have yellow legs. But you just see that football shape there. And then the striping underneath the wings is another feature that will indicate to you that that's a Sora. And it's kind of reclusive. You put the sounds in. Oh, thank you, Laura. I didn't realize that because I was trying to figure out how am I going to do this? Because in fact, you will likely hear it before you will see it. And the sounds are, so there are two main sounds, the whinny and the sort of song. So let's
We'll
see
see if
what
this
we got
works.
here. Yeah.
It'll take me to this other website. So, okay, here we go. And let's see if it does a whinny call. Can everyone hear that? Anyone have trouble hearing that? No.
Does it have the whinny is such a distinctive call. I wonder if one of those. I didn't hear that at all.
You didn't hear that?
No. The first one.
You heard the first one?
Mhm.
Interesting. Let me try another one. Did you hear that?
Yeah. It wasn't as loud as I was hoping, because actually the bird itself is very loud when you hear it. That last one is called the whinny, and it just is kind of descending notes. It goes.
That's good.
Well, no, it sounds a lot better than that. But it's such a funny, I have to say, it's such a funny sound. It always makes me laugh when I hear it.
Mhm.
You just don't expect to hear that sound somehow coming out of a marsh. But you will find it mostly in marshy areas, pockets of water with grasses and reeds. And again, you'll likely hear it before you see it. There were a couple at Fort River, in that by that very first little lookout area. And people saw them there, but that's the only time I've actually seen one. They're usually hiding in the reeds. Anyway, but that sound will tell you it's there. And the next bird is the killdeer, which also has a very distinctive sound. It's a kind of plover. So if you're familiar with a semi-palmated plover and other plovers, it looks similar. But what's distinctive about the killdeer is that it has a much longer tail, and it's a fairly big bird. It's about 10 inches in length. And it has two neck bands or breast bands. You can see them there. And the contrast is really stark. You can usually really see that very clearly when it's walking around in the field. And then it has this distinctive pattern on the head, the brown on the cap, the white line, black and white line above the eye, has long legs, and has this rich brown on the back. And you might see it, but more likely if you were watching it in flight, you would see that russet color at the base of the tail there. So you don't usually see them in flocks, although you might see 3 or 2 hanging out together. They forage in the stubble of sort of mowed farm fields, short grassy areas. You won't see them by that puddle that I described, but you will see them in all of that corn stubble. And sometimes even in the road. Lots of time they'll just cross the road or hang out in the road. And they have this little pattern. They go run, 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 and run. And then they stop and look, and run, 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 and run, stop and look and look. So they give you an opportunity to see them, which is very nice, very, very thoughtful of them. And one very cool thing about them is is this the broken wing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get near their nest, they will sort of run away and do this broken wing display to sort of lure predators away from the nest and pretend to be injured so that the babies will be safe, which is kind of very cool. Let's see what happens with the killdeer sounds. You usually hear them in flight. I don't usually hear them when they're running around. Do you agree, Laura?
Yeah, that's true.
Hear them.
Can you hear that?
So I hope you could hear it. It says high pitch and it sounds like killdeer, killdeer. It's very, very high pitch. Yeah, yes, and they do it multiple times. But they're beautiful little birds and fun because you can usually, when they're there, you can see them. They're not hiding.
And they're one of the plovers that you can identify.
Yeah.
All right, so our next bird, our third bird, we have 3 other birds and they're all sandpipers. And so we chose the spotted sandpiper because it's actually found almost all over North America. And it's a sandpiper that you can actually identify by its movement because it's constantly, when it's walking, it bobs its tail up and down rhythmically and constantly. And so because of that, it's pretty easy to tell. And for a sandpiper, it has kind of this short, squat neck and a long tail. So it kind of has this look about it like someone's taken the tail and pulled and the neck was pulled in a little bit. You can see this is a spotted sandpiper in breeding plumage. And so the spots are very, very distinctive. When they fly, I could not find a photo of them flying. I apologize for that, but they have these stiff wing beats that they alternate with these short glides. So they stiff wing beats is kind of like shallow wing beats, and then they glide very quickly and then go back to flapping again. And they have an orange bill. That's also distinctive and breeding plumage. But if we're looking for them in the summer, they may be in transition. That's something to keep in mind, especially with any shorebirds, is that they can be in plumage that is not one or the other. It may not be breeding, and it may not yet be a non-breeding plumage. It might be something completely in between, and that can be tricky. But again, that bobbing of the tail is really distinctive, and it's smaller than a killdeer. Here it is in the non-breeding plumage. And so you can see that the spots have gone. It's just sort of this smudgy. It kind of has this arc that goes up around what I would call the shoulder. And then it just is sort of this solid brown look about it. And it has this, sandpipers always have these like peeping sounds. We can listen to it. I'll do the calls because that's what we would mostly maybe hear. Kind of a double beep beep. I'll do a song too, just for fun. Like a tree. It almost sounds cardinal-like in a way. Sorry, I'm going to stop it in a second. It's just my computer screen isn't allowing me to. There we go. And spotted sandpipers, you can find them in a variety of water habitats. They'll be on the edge of the oxbow in Arcadia. At East Meadows, they'll be on the edge of the ponds. They'll be in the fields. They'll be on the edge of the river. And so they're not very particular about the type of water body. They'll be on the coast. They'll be near seawater or saltwater. So pretty much they are not very particular about their habitat. And like I said, they breed in most of US and Canada. You find them everywhere. So if you travel, you can find spotted sandpipers. So it's a good one to know. Killdeer is good because killdeer, if you really recognize a killdeer and its size, they're right in between with all the shorebirds, their size. So you'll have half the shorebirds will be smaller than killdeer and half the shorebirds will be larger. And so that's a good one to know. And then the spotted sandpiper is just a really, really common one. And so if you get to know the spotted sandpiper, then you can know if you're seeing something different. And then another common sandpiper is the solitary sandpiper. And this sandpiper, you can identify few different things. One is that it is darker than other sandpipers with this spotting on the back. So a dark back and tail and wings with these tiny little dots. And you see this big white eye ring. It also has kind of yellowish green legs. This is breeding plumage, and it just in the non-breeding plumage pretty much looks almost the same. The spots are not as clear. Again, you can see that big white eye ring. They do kind of this head bobbing, which makes it look like their tail bobs. It's a little slower and not as much as the spotted sandpiper. Spotted sandpiper is kind of this constant, where the solitary sandpiper, it's a little slower and it's really more their head going down. Or when they fly, which again, I couldn't find a photo in flight. So you might want to go to allaboutbirds.org, the Cornell site. They have a dark stripe down the center of their tail. And then on the outside of the tail is white with dark bars. And so that can be pretty distinctive when they're flying. And then underneath and on top of their wings is dark. So if you can remember that, if you see a shorebird flying and you see those things, most likely you have a solitary sandpiper. And they like fresh water. So they like freshwater streams and ponds. And one of the things I learned, which I did not know this, is solitary sandpipers nest in old songbird nests above the ground. So they'll look for, let's say, an old, I don't know, cardinal nest or something, some songbird. and they'll explore the nest, and then they'll use that nest to lay their eggs. And I thought that was pretty cool. But we'll listen to them too. Again, really high pitched. Like weed, 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 weed. Really with sandpipers, sometimes I find it hard to tell between the different types of sandpipers and their calls, but the tone, that high pitched tone and the repetitiveness will alert me to the fact that there's a sandpiper around. And then if I can find it, I hope that I can identify it. And then our last
Can
bird
you-
is the least sandpiper, which actually
Is there a
was just-
chance that before
Go
you,
ahead.
if the previous one,
Sure.
could you repeat what you said about the dark, I think you said a dark stripe when it's
Yeah,
flying?
so on the tail, when it flies, the tail down the center of the tail is a dark stripe. And then on the outer tail edges, it's white with dark bars.
Okay.
So like stripes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the upper side and the underside of the wings are dark. So there's no white pattern at all on the underside or upper side of their wings.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right.
And let's face it, shorebirds are hard. At least for me. So here's a least sandpiper. This is a least sandpiper in breeding plumage, which is, it has this rusty scalloped look on its back. And they're small, hence the name least sandpiper, and they have a thin tipped bill. And if you look at the end, you can see it curves downward just slightly. And then the legs are yellowish to green, but you have to be really careful about the color of the legs, because if the least sandpiper has been running through mud, then their legs can look black. And a least sandpiper is one of they're called the peeps, which is like the least sandpiper and the west, I can't remember all of them, semi-palmated sandpiper. They're all this little group of sandpipers that all look very similar. And they're all about the same size, but the other ones have dark legs. This one does not, but you have to be careful, because if it's been in mud, then it's hard to tell. And so compared to other sandpipers, their wings are short and darker in flight. And then this is what it would look like in non-breeding plumage. So you can imagine that come July, you might get something a little in between that rusty look to this more grayish brown look about it. But again, you can see the thin tipped bill and it's slightly down curved, and these yellowish green legs, and small. Trying to think if there's anything else here. No, that's mostly what I wanted to say about the identification of it. And I think they've been seen recently. I can't remember where though. Leslie, do you know where they've been seen in the past week?
I don't. But
Okay.
you also see flocks of them at these meadows. So
Mhm.
you might see 5, 6, 7 just rise up out of the field and fly over there. So, but no, I don't. I can look right now while you're.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll get the song out. Again, it's one of these peep peep type songs, or calls, I should say. I don't even know if you can hear that. It's really quiet. That's a little louder. Again, that same kind of tone. It's like that tone, if you can get that in your mind, then you know you have like a shorebird. And they like to be on the muddy edges of lakes. and coastal mudflats. They'll be along the coast as well. They nest up north in bogs and large kind of heathlands in northern Canada and Alaska. And so we see them in migration, which starts in July. And so that's why we chose a lot of these shorebirds to be our summer birds to look for.
So I did find that Mike Locker saw a couple of leased sandpipers at gate 8 at the Quabbin.
Oh, at Quabbin. Okay.
So
Mhm.
it's a bit of a schlep, but they do fly down there. I mean, we do see them definitely in the East Meadows. So
Yeah, great. All right. Unless anyone has any other questions, we didn't talk about a date yet in September because we do have the Labor Day holiday.
right.
So we will have to let folks know in August when that will be. Our next newsletter for the Hampshire Bird Club will be out August, I believe, and it will list the do-it-yourself
August or
and the date.
September?
What's that?
Is it August or September, the next newsletter?
Oh, I thought it was August. Oh, if it's not August, then we'll send it through.
We'll send it,
email.
yeah, we could just send out an email.
Yeah, we'll send emails to the members to let people know. So,
Yeah.
so those are our 5 birds. Good luck. And good luck exploring this fun area because I don't know it very well. So I'm looking forward to going out there. Does anyone have any other questions?
The
Yeah.
Sora, does it do its call a particular time of day, or are there any time of the day?
I've heard them at all different times of day,
Okay.
mid-afternoon, you know.
And they'll make the call during the summer as
Mhm.
well. Okay. And one other question. One time I was walking, there's what's the name of the College Church, and then there's that berm. Do you know what I'm talking about? If you park near College Church.
Oh,
in
yes,
Northampton,
yes. In Northampton.
Yeah, and then you can walk on a berm.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been down
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Ask the question. Got to be a point where it looked like there was like a cross street, and it said, had all this like, do not, no trespassing. It looked like it went towards the river, but I wasn't sure if the no trespassing was just for like recreational vehicles that they didn't want going there, or if it's for anybody. We didn't go down the road, but but if you're not familiar, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about.
I know it's interesting. I know the location, but it's a little bit before you get to Ferry Street, actually. Yeah. Right.
Oh, wait, no. When you're going into Northampton.
Yeah, Ferry Street comes first if you're going into Northampton, and then
Yeah.
you further down, you take a left and you're near that College Church.
Right. And then
I think that is private property because I don't drive down there.
Well, we were
So-
walking the berm. There was actually some walking paths. That was like a little conservation area behind the church. But
Yeah.
then there were a lot of people like walking their dogs like on the berm. And then eventually you come out and cross some of these roads. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, sorry, not
That's
sure.
Is there a chance that you could easily go back to those maps? I want to take a screenshot.
Yeah, oh,
Good
absolutely.
idea.
I didn't mean screenshot. I'm just taking a picture.
Let me just.
Not as fancy as a screenshot at home, but
Oops.
the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you want to get the directions too?
I did get that.
Oh, you
earlier.
you got those. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And just to remind people that none of these roads have names on them. The fact that they had names was news.
I
to
found that
me.
very curious. I'm glad you're mentioning that, Lesley, because it went through my mind. I'm like, I don't think there's street signs out there at all.
No.
No, so you kind of have to
Named
keep
on the
track
map.
of how many rights and lefts you take. But again, it's a big, open fields.
Mm.
So you can see across to another road, or you can see across and know like where the Connecticut River is. So you're always sort of oriented, and also
Yeah.
where the airport is.
Yeah. you
So
want
it's
the-
really, it's not a spot where you get turned around easily. But the roads, yeah, I don't know who came up with those names, right?
yeah,
Probably
no,
the farmers.
Yeah.
Right, probably the farmers.
So one last question, if I may. So these are birds that are coming, they're heading south, in other words. So they've already been breeding in Alaska or wherever. So we're going to be seeing them. So that's why you said we're going to be seeing them when they're sort of in between.
Yeah.
They've already been in their breeding plumage and now they're coming out of it. Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's what makes shorebirds a little tricky.
Yeah.
Not just that, but many reasons. But
Yeah.
although, you know, spotted sandpipers do nest around here,
Mm,
and solitary sandpipers and killdeer.
okay.
Yeah, so it would be the least sandpiper would be, actually, I'm not sure if solitary sandpipers breed here. So maybe it's a solitary, and the least sandpipers would be the ones that you would see coming south.
Okay.
So if you go out now, you may not see them. But if you go out mid-July is really the start of the fall migration, or I should say the south migration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay.
kind of unbelievable, you know.
I
it's-
know.
Right.
I'm-
It's like,
I'm
they
like,
just
it's
turn right
just-
around, right? It's like, you know, it's like Arctic terns are never, they only stop to lay their eggs and breed. And then otherwise they're constantly migrating their whole lives. It's
Mm,
mostly migration. I know, amazing stuff.
yeah.
So it makes it fun to learn about.
So
Yeah.
we should go in July.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah,
Like they-
mid-July would be the start of seeing most, you know, and other shorebirds too. Who knows what we'll see out there, especially if there's a good mud puddle.
I did think
Yeah.
it was tricky that you said you shouldn't, that it's good to go after the rain, but if you have a car that has a low, then you shouldn't drive on the
Well, you
road.
just have to be
And
careful.
you shouldn't go alone because it could be dangerous. So this sounds very
Sorry.
tricky.
Sorry, I know. We usually don't choose a spot like that.
But I do think that during the day, you'll see other people there, and you know, you'll get a sense. It's not, there are not a lot of places to hide there either, which is also, which makes me feel safe, right? Because it's only on the edges where there are trees and, you know, sort of bushes and stuff like that. It's all flat, open fields.
Very
So-
flat. It's amazing. Like you get out there, you're like, wow, you know, you feel like it's Kansas,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you didn't have a view of like the Holyoke Range or anything. You just, yeah.
Well,
You
it's
think you're in the
all corn and
Midwest.
potatoes.
What's that?
Nothing but corn and potatoes out there.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing. So,
Where would you look for a Sora there? I think of them as being more bodies of water rather than puddles.
Well, that pond that I was describing is really sort of a large pond. I mean, it's narrow, but it's very long, and it's got lots of different kinds of reeds and grasses all along the edges. So, and I think it's pretty much established itself. It may disappear, you know, by the end of the summer, but we saw, as I said, we saw yellow legs there. We saw, I think, yeah. So that's
that
what
was the pond that was, let me point it out again if I can remember
Yeah.
where it is.
That's
Was that off of Nook Road?
Just
think
before
so.
Valley Field
Okay.
Road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go back and
So it's at the bottom of the map.
right here.
Yeah, and that sort of
Okay.
triangle. And it parallels Nook Road. Is that Nook Road? Whatever that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Nook Road.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim.
So it
Okay.
parallels that road towards the bottom, towards the Google on the bottom of the map. Not that you'll see that when you're out there. And again, there are other sort of ponds that just pop up after a rain. And if you wait a day after, you know, so it's not quite so muddy, you'll definitely see all kinds of shorebirds out there looking for water.
Yeah, I think that's the trick is, you know, let it rain and then let there be a day of dry.
Yeah.
And then go out. Yeah. But even another thing is if, you know, if it is muddy, you can get out, you don't have to go all that way. You can still get out to certain sections and just turn around and go back and then kind of do it that way. I've done that before too on muddy days. Yeah.
I've been told though, if you get stuck down there, that the wrecker trucks don't come to pull you out.
Oh, you have to get a friend with a truck and really heavy duty
Yeah,
chains.
they won't
Line them
come
up
in to get
first.
you.
This is a really encouraging spot.
How fun.
And
Hey,
so,
You might get
Yeah.
stuck there for days, but you still
And
have birds.
and this is in Northampton.
But you'll see some great birds.
You
Use
want
at
to
the
use your
airport to
senses
fly you out.
when you see that down there.
And this is actually in Northampton. Is that
Hmm?
right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this might be a good place to park and take a bicycle in
Yes.
and
lot of
then,
people do that.
park and then bike the rest of the
Yeah, and that's what I've done that in the
West
West Meadows before too, when it's been really muddy,
Mhm.
which is kind of
Really?
fun to do.
You bike in the mud. That's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's
Oh,
fun,
your
especially
butt
carrying
gets a little
binoculars and a
splattered.
scope.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I couldn't hear either one of you. Sorry.
I said, and even when you prepare, it's really fun when you're carrying your binoculars and your scope.
Oh, wow.
All right, well, enjoy your summer, everyone.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll
You
see you on
too.
a bird walk at another point.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Take care.
You know,
Have
Thanks
a
for
good one.
coming.
You.